guys have clicked some amazing pictures with the entries that I've received on mail. Genuinely, I never thought that you could click pictures like this with just your phone. Props to you. What's up guys, Anubhav here, welcome back. I know it's been a while, it's been some time since I had time to make a YouTube video, but I was working on a new setup and I still am. It's barely complete, but I thought it's been long enough that we should do a video soon. Now talking about it from previous Lightroom episode, today we are going to edit a few pictures that you guys have mailed me on arlightroomedits@gmail.com. These are photos that you guys sent me and I cannot wait to jump into Lightroom to edit them. I have picked 5 of my favorites from the entire list because I couldn't really show you how to edit every single photo, but be sure to submit your photos for the next episode of this video and let me know if you liked it. With that said, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. Alright guys, before we start, this video is sponsored by the guys over at Wondershare and PDF Element. PDF Element is an amazing software that allows you to edit as well as convert PDF files on the go. Now in case you guys haven't heard about it already, PDF Element is an amazingly effortlessly powerful PDF editor which lets you not only edit and create new PDF files but also convert as well as re-edit files that have already been saved and let's say sent to you from someone else. You can also merge it with different platforms. It works on your iPad or on your Android and seamlessly integrates that with the PC or the Mac OS version. Now once you install it, you have the ability to open up any PDF file on your computer or your desktop, and you can also create a new file, edit it, convert a PDF to an editable platform like Word, PowerPoint, and also batch process them and combine them and select from a wide variety of different templates to fulfill all your Adobe Acrobat needs at a very free or a much less price in case you decide to go for a license or a business option. They've been super great supporters of the channel and the links to check them out will be in the first link in the description below, so be sure to check them out. And with that done, let's move back to the Lightroom tutorial. Alright guys, the way we're gonna do this is I'm gonna put up a screen recording of my current screen while I'm editing these photos. As you guys can see, I don't really have a lot of battery, so that's that. Now these are the 5 pictures that I selected, and to be very honest, all of these pictures are incredible. They were shot with some really low-end cameras and phones such as the Redmi Note 4, which just reinstates my belief in the fact that you do not need a high-resolution camera to click good pictures. So with that said, let's start with the first photo. This is my absolute favorite of the bunch. It's the one with this car and the lights above it. It reminds me of that scene in Gully Boy, in case you guys have watched that movie. But either way, the first thing we're gonna do is fix up the angle because the horizon is a little bit tilted. So I'm gonna go to geometry and then go to upright and hit on level. That should make the photo much straighter and in a proper level of horizon. Once that is done, let's start editing. We'll go to the light section. This could use a little bit of an exposure bump. Just gonna add a little bit of contrast, probably reduce the highlights a bit, boost the shadows a bit so that the car can, you can see the car coming back alive. As far as the whites are concerned, we can bump the whites a little bit, and I think that looks good. Now let's shift to the curves and let's manipulate and work in our contrast. I like to do a deconstructed S curve, something that looks really good sometimes, but that's that. I think that is done, and yeah, much better. So our contrast is done. Now we're gonna head over to the white balance. Now the look that I'm going for is going to be very warm as far as this photo is concerned, so I'll hit it a little bit to the the warmer side of tones. Then we're going to increase the vibrance and reduce the saturation a bit. This is the typical style that the way I edit my photos, so that's that. A little bit of vibrance and a little desaturated vibe in there. Now once that is done, we'll go to the color mix later. Right now let's go to the effects tab, work in a little bit of texture and a little bit of clarity. It might seem really tempting to go all the way on this, but please don't. It's gonna ruin the picture and it's gonna make you come off as very amateur like. So we're gonna just work with a little bit of clarity. As far as dehaze is concerned, I don't think we actually need that. In fact, I'm gonna go for -15 to give it that glowy look. Once that is done, we should definitely add a little bit of vignetting, so -4 looks good. And I think this is where I want my image, to have some of these elements that I have selected. Now we head over to the color manipulation, which is the color mix. Probably go for a more orangey and teal vibe. So the way I'm going to do that is shift the reddish hues to a more orangey tone, as you guys can see over here. You want to make sure that you don't really do a lot of this, because it ends up again looking over processed and over saturated. So that's that. Now let's go over to the yellows, and I'm going to essentially turn all the greens to a little bit of yellow as well, but not a lot, because it's going to make again the photo look very over processed and stuff like that. Moving on, let's go ahead and hit on the hue. Let's change that to something much more brownish in nature, and yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now we head over to the blues and change that to a little bit of a tealish tone, as you guys can see. Probably even increase the luminance of the photo, and I think we're done. This is the way that I would edit this photo, and yeah, man, this is a great shot. Thanks for sending, and you can download it. You can download this picture from the link in the description below. Alright, second picture is this. Now I'm just gonna quickly run through again the different light settings that I want to work this for. This is a pretty cool shot. I think a little bit of decrease in the exposure would make the highlights come off a little better. A little bit of contrast, a little bit of -20 at highlights to make sure that background is seeable, even though it is a portrait shot. Again, we change the white balance here to a more bluish tone, because I think it will look much better with a blue grade on it. Reduce the saturation just a bit, not too much, because we've got a subject in the frame, an actual human. What we need to do next is increase the texture and increase the clarity of the photo a bit, just to give it that punch. Again, reduce the dehaze to get that white out of the skies, the excessive white that there's there. Add a little bit of vignette once again to make the subject really pop, and I really like the way this photo is looking. It's a great shot, and I wonder which device was used to capture this, because there's a lot of detail. So if this is a phone, that's absolutely insane. Now next, what I'm gonna do is again start to work in my color. Go to color mix, maybe change the color a little bit of the warmer things in the frame right now. Apply, make sure the water and the trees are really orangey and stuff, and that's that. It's gonna change the greens as well to a more fieldy nature. However, make sure you don't manipulate most of them a little too much, because they're gonna affect the skin tone of your frame as well. So that's that. Change the color of the sky to a more tealish tone, and just like that, you can see we've started working in the edit that I want to desaturate a couple of the other colors, and yeah, that looks insane to me. Now, something else that you guys can do when you're editing portraits like this, which have actual subjects in them, is you can add a radial filter. So I'm just gonna hit on these selective edits, go to filters, and add a radial filter on his face. With that done, let's just zoom in so that we can affect the radial filter directly. What you want to do is mask this as close to his face as possible so that we can include this. And now we go to light. You can work in a little bit of your softening the skin, maybe take out a few details from his skin. If you want to increase the contrast, hit a little bit of the shadows. Don't make sure you do it a lot, because essentially you'll be able to see the effects that you're doing with that. And once that is done, if you zoom out, you can see that his face pops out much more in this picture. So that's how I would edit this one. Let's go to the third picture, which is this. This was shot with a Redmi Note 4, which is absolutely insane. This is one of the most beautiful pictures I have ever seen, let alone in this episode. So once again, we're gonna quickly work in our contrast. I love the exposure on this. I'm not messing it up even a little bit. Probably reduce the highlights a bit, increase a little bit of the shadows, increase a little bit of the whites, and this really gives me some Call of Duty vibes. It looks absolutely insane. So we're going to work in our exposure as well as our temperature. Again, increase the vibrance, reduce the saturation a little bit, work in the texture as well as the clarity, a little bit of dehaze at the end, and a little bit of vignetting right at the end. Now, as you guys can see, this already looks pretty incredible. Once you work in that color, it's just gonna take it to a whole another level. And as you guys can see, we're done with this one as well. So that is 3 pictures done. Let's go to the 4th one. I think the earlier edit would actually look really good on this one. So what I'm gonna do is go to the hamburger menu, hit on copy settings, copy the settings, and then paste them here. Now, as you can see, the exposure is not really that great. That is because none of the settings to another picture will match 100%. You're gonna have to work with them manually. So over here, we should obviously reduce the exposure and the highlights, because I think the photo is a little overblown, and we can work with that. However, what I can try to do is add another radial filter here, and once the radial filter is attached, what we can do is we can go to light and reduce the highlights as well as, you know, the whites more. So it's gonna give it this darkish vibe in the photo. You can also reduce the exposure, and to work in a more dramatic angle, probably increase the clarity and, you know, hit the feathering option of this. Yeah, so gradually coming in through the side. So that's that actually looks extremely surreal. It looks like a wallpaper. Now moving on to the last picture. It's this photo right here. I already love the composition, and there's a little bit of cropping that we can do to you know, manipulate this red area here, but nothing out of the ordinary. So the first thing, once again, is we're gonna go to light and work in our exposure. I am done with that as well. And yeah, I think all of the pictures in today's episode look particularly good. I really like the composition and what you guys have come up with. I hope you guys like the edits. You can download these pictures, and if you're the ones who have clicked them, I'd be glad to email it back to you. Just hit me up on your email and put this up on your Instagram if you guys want to, and tag me along with the person who has clicked this picture, of course. Until then, this is Anubhav signing out. You guys have a great day, and yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.